It's been a while, Tony and John, since a movie took me by the goat horns and captivated me like this.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Blood and Donuts. I am Tony.
And I'm Chris. What's up, everybody?
And we want to welcome a very special guest. We have John in the studio with us today. How you doing, John?
I'm doing good. It's good to see you guys again.
Yeah, John has been one of our friends for, 20 years now?
25 years, yeah.
I had class with him, radio, television. Chris, when we did our bowling commercial back senior year in high school, John was holding the camera. Do you remember that?
I do remember that. It was great.
It is a shame that is lost to history. Like, we really should have kept the tape on that.
We really should have.
It made us so popular.
Yeah. So popular. We were so popular. Oh, my goodness. When Evil Lurks. 2023 supernatural psychological horror film written and directed by Damien Rugna. Is that how y'all would say that, guys?
Well, from now on, it's going to be Damien.
It's Damien. I mean, there's a D-E in there. I don't know how to say that. Guys, this movie was brutal, right?
It was an experience.
Yeah.
I mean, this is
shocking.
Oh my goodness! But I'm just going to say it's well done. I love this movie.
Extremely well done. Yeah.
Chris?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's one of those movies that just kind of it sucks you in the first scene, and it doesn't let you go. Like, you're not going to get up and go get popcorn in the middle of this thing. And it's not just because you have to read the subtitles, because it is in Argentinian.
That was a bit shocking. I did not know that.
I mean, first of all, realize you can turn your subtitles on, because I had about 10 minutes of panic and had to go back after I paid for it to watch it.
Yeah.
But it gets the point across. It doesn't take away from the movie.
No, it doesn't. Subtitles on?
You can't vote against it in any way for being a different language.
It's kind of, I would say it's very slow in the beginning, which is great because it builds it builds the tension. You got these two brothers in the beginning, and you got some weird things happening, right? And you're really invested. I mean, you're seeing these two guys on their land. I mean, and some weird things start happening, and they really bring you on this journey with them.
Quickly. I didn't want to leave.
Yeah.
There are a lot of horror movies that have become so formulaic. I'll know what's coming up, and I play around on my phone and watch it. I was staring at the TV throughout the entire
same thing. It was good. This is an international co-production of from Argentina and the United States. I'm gonna mess these names up. This film stars Ezekiel Rodriguez, Damian Solomon, Luis Zembrowski. You're not from Argentina if your last name's Zembrowski, right? No, you're from Canada. What is that? How did he make it into there? Never mind. We got Sylvia Sabater and Marcelo Michina. I don't know how bad I messed that up. Oh my goodness. So the director of this, Rugna, he did an interview at Fantastic Fest, and he told the audience during a Q&A that the farm pesticides in his native Argentina causing widespread health issues was the reason that he wrote this film. Did y'all read that?
That is one thing I did find. He gets into the out of sight, out of mind thing where people in the big cities don't want to deal with problems in more rural areas. Yeah. And that comes up repeatedly.
Yeah.
And I did read that. That's one of the very few facts.
Couldn't find a lot on this.
I have another cool one. He said he loves religion as a faith and helping people, but not as a business. So these characters, while Exorcist believer, even The Exorcist, they turn to the church for help. He says these characters have to rely on each other for their own support. And it didn't, work too great in parts, but that's pretty cool little fact.
As a possession movie, you bring up Exorcist Believer, which just came out, which basically is building off the foundation of what The Exorcist, which is a very original film from the 1970s, amazing film, very well done, and basically rehashed. This time we got 2 exorcisms. You know what I mean? Let's bring a priest and a Baptist preacher in here. You know what I mean? I don't know. This is a possession movie. It's dealing with demons, but it's a complete new thing. I've never seen this.
I loved it. They took an old idea and completely refreshed it. I had no, and I went into this movie blind. I didn't know what it was about.
Oh no, I didn't either.
I love what he did with it.
Movie
Yeah.
where Michael Myers in a house, he's in a room, he's around the corner. You learn about this world as our main characters do.
Yes.
So they do a really good job of kind of keeping you learning with the main characters.
Yes. And so and this film relies a lot on like just shock.
Yep.
Nobody's off limits. Back in the day, children were off limits, pets were off limits.
Don't form an attachment to anyone in this movie.
No, because
no one is too cute.
yeah, they will. Yeah, this is a very shocking movie. I mean, this is we talk about Terrifier as a shocking movie, but my goodness. Right?
Yeah.
This is
this one.
is this probably, I would say this is probably, I can't think of a movie that is more shocking and disgusting than this film. What, like, can you, does anyone come to mind, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, Terrifier was like a gory fun.
Yes.
This is, Evil Dead is gory fun.
Yeah.
This is gory and not fun. It's gory and brutal and unforgiving. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's really, just like you said, shocking. And regarding the violence with the children, we talked
Yes.
about the kids being there.
Absolutely.
The government for this movie would not let them use artificial blood on the kids at any point in this film.
I did not know.
So-
That's a good fact, man.
That's a good one.
Oh my goodness.
Thanks.
I didn't know that. Go ahead. John, why don't you go ahead and jump into your rating? Let's let you go first.
Yeah.
How about that?
Well, some of the things I loved about the movie, first of all, I said I went in blind. I had absolutely no idea what this is about. That ended up being a wonderful thing because I had no clue what was happening. And like Chris said, as they're learning, I'm learning. Like, I don't
Yes.
know what these people are facing. And that really helped a lot. I love that they just put that new spin on a classic horror idea. I mean, possession movies have been around forever.
That's the truth.
And I mean, we'll get into what it is in the spoiler section.
Yeah.
But once you realize what the rules are, what's going on, it's like, it's really cool. They got away from the exorcism of Emily Rose, The Conjuring, even things like that. It's just completely different. And there's not a lot of fluff in this movie. I mean, you don't, like Chris said, don't pause, don't walk away. If you look to the floor, you've missed some.
Yeah.
Even when they're not talking, there's something going on.
Yeah.
Also, the special effects I really liked. There's some CGI. There's not a lot. I'm pretty sure that rotten suit was built.
It had to be.
And it was beautiful, and I really liked it. I really had to struggle to find some things I didn't love about it. I did not love the third act as much, but it was because the movie was so good up to that point. It set such a high bar for itself. When it finally got to this reveal part, I was like, I don't know what else they could have done.
Yeah.
So it wasn't bad, but and there is one character who is just, we'll talk about it later, but there's one character who's pure stereotype. Mm-hmm. And when they died, I wasn't sad.
Okay.
But that was about it. But as far as rating, I'm giving this a 10. I love this movie. And I think people are catching on that it exists now.
Yeah.
And it's going to get bigger. And I just hope they don't ruin it with too many sequels.
That's the truth. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with everything you said. And the characters, they're lovable enough where I say lovable. When I say lovable, I mean relatable enough. You know what I mean? They're not perfect. They're making mistakes left and right, and we'll talk about that in the spoiler section. From the moving or rotten, I mean, like just moving. Like I don't care what we do with them. Let's just get them out of my backyard. Like that's something that I would do. And when they're like, they're picking them up on a sheet and all. I mean, just like it's very relatable stuff. These guys are making mistakes, and I love that. So it's very relatable. I love the gore. I love the horror elements. I love how new and just refreshing this thing was. This is what Exorcist Believer should have been,
Yes.
And I bet they didn't have half the budget that Exorcist Believer had, and it had subtitles. That's fine. The negative, there's so many pauses. I could go in that. John touched on a lot of that, and I don't want to spoil this movie, but there is just so much. The negatives, I could say, like they're in that third act. I agree. There is a cleaner, and we get a lot of information on a truck ride. But again, we're on the ride with him, but it was a little too much for me. And then I'm not going to spoil it. But anyway, and then the ending there. I'm not going to call it a perfect movie. It's very gory, and they rely on shock for a lot of these things. Some of these shots are beautiful. There's a shot behind one of the guy's heads. He's holding a shotgun, and the goat's antlers are like perfectly pictured behind his head. I mean, just like some you can just see, and the sunrise is in the background. You can tell that so much thought and care was putting to some of these shots. I think it's a wonderful movie, and I'm going to get with John on there. Very close. I'm going to give it an 11. I think it's one of the best horror films that I have seen this year. Wait, it's only 2024. In the past 2 years. How about, let's go with that. How's that? Chris?
That works.
Yeah.
And yeah, Tony, they call that in the third act, they call that an exposition dump, where they just like dump a bunch of information.
Yeah.
So actors, the two brothers playing Mario and Waluigi, they did great. Louis Zambrowski as their neighbor Ruiz.
Yes.
He was great. And like you said, all these characters kind of had flaws, but they all acted really well. Pros for me, acting top notch. It's a masterclass in cinematography. The story was compelling. Like John said, there's no room for rest. It's very fast paced. Yeah. And in like 2 scenes with the government, they made these brothers feel so isolated. They might as well have been on Antarctica with McCready.
Yeah.
Trades in that suspense for shock, and it works well. The only con I have, there's a couple of continuity issues that I'll touch upon when we get there. I made a mistake with The Thing when I rated it too low. I'm not going to do that here. This is a 13 out of 13 donuts for me. The very first one on this podcast. I loved it. It's been a while, Tony and John, since a movie took me by the goat horns and captivated me like this. The actors, story, and pace were great. It was a unique experience, and I loved it.
Why did I just get goosebumps?
I feel like I lowballed it now.
Yeah. Can I change my score? I want to change my score. No, I'm just joking. Man, I got good. My nipples are hard right now. Is that on camera? I hope that's not on camera. I should have wore an undershirt. Chris, why'd you have to do? You could have warned me about that, man.
I didn't expect this.
Golly, John,
shocking like this.
I'm glad you got to be here to witness this.
The first one.
Yeah, this is nuts. Let me hold on. Is my makeup running? That was good. Oh my gosh. I think it's time to spoil this thing, guys.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
When evil lurks, here's the spoils. Morning after hearing gunshots in nearby woods, brothers Pedro and, are we going to call him Jamie? Are we going to call him Jaime? What are we going to call him?
Yimmy. They've called him like 3 things in the Luigi.
All right. I'm not calling him Luigi, Chris. The morning after hearing gunshots in nearby woods, brothers Pedro and Jaime investigate and discover half of the body of a man, which leads them to a nearby shack where a woman is hiding with her 2 sons. The oldest son, Uriel, has become a rotten, being possessed by an unborn demon who is awaiting physical birth. The deceased man in the woods is a cleaner that the mother called for 1 year prior, someone who is supposed to safely kill Uriel and abort this demon before it possesses others.
Yeah, and this dude is in a bad way. And it's interesting that there are some rules for these rottens that we'll get into later. But like they know these terms like rotten and cleaner, but we don't yet.
Yeah.
But they do a great job of kind of letting you learn alongside these guys.
Yeah.
I love the opening scene when they're in the house and hear the gunshots and they're just running around in the dark.
Oh, that's awesome.
Pedro's getting his gun. The camera's like right over his shoulder.
Yeah. Is that on our land? You know what I mean?
Is it a poacher? Poachers don't shoot that much.
Yeah, I love that. God.
And I don't know why. It wasn't funny, but he was just so gung-ho, and he gets outside, stares into the darkness, and is like, we'll check that out tomorrow.
I love that.
And just backs into the house.
Yeah. Oh, it was so good. It's so. Of course, this is a horror film too. I mean, come on. So you're just like, what are they gonna find? And then they find that half-cut body. The intestines are out, and then you're seeing you see Marco Polo's instruments just strode about the about. about the forest and the brother Jaime, he picks it up. He says, "I have seen these before." I'm doing a very racist accent. I need to stop that. Y'all need to call me out when I do that. He says, "I have seen this before." Okay, he picks it up and he says, "I have seen this before." So and so he, you're like, where did he see this? Oh my goodness, what is this? So you have to put that in your bank. Use that later. Why? He was just cut in half, wasn't he?
We never even saw his top half. I don't think you just saw his intestines hanging out of.
Yeah,
and the dogs kept trying to eat him. And
how wonderful! Like we do find out how he dies. We're not going to talk about that yet. But my goodness, you're sitting there like, what did this?
And this is in broad daylight too. And I love daylight horror. You don't get that a whole lot.
Yeah,
so they're just standing out there in broad daylight and smoke's coming out of off the water, and it's just beautifully shot and creepy as hell.
Yeah, and then they go to that shack, right? Mm-hmm. And you see this elderly woman who do they ask about what are they asking about exactly? They were asking about Ruiz. They brought him up for some reason. Yeah. Are they living on Ruiz's land?
They made it sound like they worked for him in some capacity and like lived on his land and were farmers for him or something.
Yeah, and so we go in and we meet this elderly lady, and they're questioning her like, what's going on? We found a guy back here. Does she go ahead? I forget. Did she go ahead and say at this point, I have a rotten son, or
she said something?
She's like, I've contacted the authorities and the hospital, and they told me that they were on the way, but they haven't gotten here yet. And that was the guy that was in the woods.
Oh, so you go into this bedroom in this shack, and you have this. I want you to picture 600-pound life.
Yes.
Slimy, disgusting. I was sitting there. I was like, I'm so glad they haven't invented smelly vision. It's like you smelt it without even smelling it. Mm-hmm. It was so freaking disgusting. And Uriel was just sitting there like talking crap about. Oh, he was just saying stuff, wasn't he?
Oh, he was dogging him. Yeah.
Man.
He was wanting him to kill him.
Yeah. He was like, go ahead. Kill me. I would love that. You're a pansy. You're a coward. You're a coward. Oh, man. It was nuts. I had never seen anything like this. A demon born of a I didn't even understand what a rotten was. I was just sitting there watching. I was like, what is this?
You don't know what you're looking at this point. You just walk in on this grossness. And mom's like, I brought somebody to kill him, but don't hurt him.
And then you see your main guys kind of freaking out, and you're like, why are they freaking out so much? Why is this such a big deal? And the director kind of he talked about on the interview, like, we've always seen these exorcist films for rich people like The Exorcist, people who are living in the city. He goes, what if we're out in the middle of nowhere and there is no priest to come by? What if we have to call one and it takes a year for him to come out to see us? He said, I'm going to make a movie about that. How cool is that? Man, God, it's good. Okay. They go to the police. After the authorities dismiss this rotten as not their problem, the brothers approach the landowner, Ruiz, who aggressively attempts to deal with Uriel himself by disposing of the blighted Uriel, dumping him hours away. After narrowly avoiding a young boy in the road, the three men discover Uriel has somehow escaped the truck. Chris.
Yeah, and they don't talk about it here, or do they? This is also the part where they kind of talk to the government, and they're like, yeah, we can't do anything. There's protocols. You have to wait for the cleaner or whatever. So they really isolate these brothers and kind of isolate you, the viewer. Like, these guys are hopeless. Like, they can't just run away from this thing.
Yeah, these police are jerks. Man, they're jerks.
I just love when they were trying to get the rotten out of the house. That was a Three Stooges skit from hell. They wrapped him up in a sheet and were trying to drag him out.
Then he busted through the sheet. Or did he? It was so disgusting. His pus was like seeping through this sheet, and he falls on the. Oh, it's so disgusting. Ruiz is my man. Ruiz is like, hey, this is my land. All right, I'm gonna stop. I can't. Gosh, I want to do it so bad. He's like, this is my land. I want to. I want to take care of this. And he's just like, he's a take the bull by the horns kind of guy. You know,
Yes.
He's old
To be
school.
fair, that's how I read it on the subtitles, was that voice.
Yeah, honestly, that's
Well,
okay.
he's like
just,
really
just
chipper.
making sure. Just making sure. I'm not going to do it though. Ruiz is like, we're going to take, this is my land. They're trying to get me off my land. They planted Uriel. The government did.
Yeah,
they want to take my land. They're not going to take my land. I'll get Uriel out of that house. And he goes in there. He puts a shotgun right up next to Uriel's head, doesn't he? And he's like, I'm about to shoot him. I'm going to shoot him right in the face. And then Uriel's like, go in. I would love for you to do it. You know, and we'll find out later, because you shoot a demon, it goes up in the air or something. It's like number one. You know, you don't do that. That's number one. But anyway, Ruiz he puts that gun, and then he's like, I'm not going to do it, because he knows better. It's like everybody in this land knows the rules. They know these demon. They've all dealt with it. They all know what's going on. And you're sitting there. You're kind of along for the ride. You're like, what? I guess they've dealt with this before, or they've heard these tales before, because everybody's on board. And they go in there and get that sheet, and he's falling through whatever. It looks like us three going in there and taking care of something, right?
About that much grace was involved in handling it. Yeah.
And then they finally get him on the truck, and they drive as far as they can. They're like, how far have we driven? Which is like the craziest thing. Instead of taking care of it, they're just like, let's just bring it to another town and let it be their problem. So they're like, they're not good people. You know, we're not dealing. Our main heroes, as I guess they would be called, are horrible human beings, such as ourselves.
Yeah, that's what we were dealt in this movie.
That's just what they gave you. And they drive and drive, and then suddenly there's a kid biking to school, and he like swerves to miss him, and they're cussing out the kid. They're like, he's effing going to school or something. It's just hilarious. And then they get out and they find out that the rotten has been. Yeah, I guess he just rolled out of the truck.
I'm convinced they didn't show that because it would have been too funny. Like, they're trying to keep this movie. If I saw that thing flying out of the back of the truck, I would have lost it.
So anyway, at that point, they're saying, whatever. It's in a ditch. It's somewhere. Yeah. Who cares? It's somebody else's problem. What's funny, I remember he's in the truck, and he's like, after they lifted him into the back, they're like smelling. He's like, oh God, the smell. I said, oh, the smells. I could smell it. I wanted to go. You know me. I take 2 or 3 showers a day. I wanted to go take a shower right then. You know what I mean? Like, I just can't. I was just like,
you invent the smell in your head.
Yeah, I was like, Uriel's on me. Uriel's on me right now. Ugh, I don't want it.
It's like the only comic relief you get in the entire movie is him smelling his hands. That's it for comedy in this whole movie. It's very brief.
Ruiz declares that this matter is absolutely resolved. He returns home unconcerned. It says unconcerned. Whatever. The next morning, Ruiz's wife discovers one of their goats has been possessed. I want to stop there for a second. They're sitting there. It says unconcerned. Ruiz is sitting there at dinner. It's the most somber dinner that you've ever seen. He's just sitting there with his head down. He knows this ain't over, right?
Yeah.
It's very somber. He knows what he just saw. He's sitting there with his head down, all this good. I mean, it's like, something's about to happen.
He accomplished nothing. He's there with his pregnant wife, beautiful home. He's like the most wealthy guy in the village. And he's doing exactly what you're saying. He's just like, we done messed up.
Oh, he knew it. They're like, let's go home. Let's go home. Let's burn our clothes. That's the first thing. Mm-hmm. Why? Because the ick. No electric. There's so many rules that you're going to learn here in a minute that like warrant it like gives breath to these demons. I don't understand all of it, and I don't think you're supposed to understand all of it because they're not real clear on all of it. At one point, the grandmother gives 7 rules. I don't think we hear all 7 rules, do we?
I don't even remember. She got.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think she goes to all of them. So anyway, so you don't hear all of it, but he knows that this is not perfect. You know, Uriel when he was sitting there and he had that gun on his face, Uriel said, "If you kill me, I'm going to get to your wife, and I'm going to get to your unborn son." Mm-hmm. You know, he said that, and so this is weighing on Ruiz's mind as he gets home that night after dropping off that rod, right? Against her warning. So the wife comes out and says, one of these goats is possessed. Against her warning not to use the guns because they help to spread the possession of the rotten, Ruiz executes this animal. And then his wife promptly commits murder-suicide with an axe. Chris, what did you think
That's
about
the first,
this scene?
Holy crap. So I actually watched it with my wife, and I thought...
She watched Jessica. You got Jessica to watch this?
Is she okay?
Yeah. So I thought she just killed herself willingly, but the wife was like, no, she was possessed. And I thought she did it because she knew her husband just screwed up. But
Yeah,
but it's still a great jump scare. Holy
I
cow.
can see that. Yeah. That was nuts.
I love that scene so much. Like, first of all, her death scene has replaced the Friday the 13th Part 7 sleeping bag scene as my favorite horror movie death, where he just picks the girl up in the sleeping bag and slams her against a tree. This is my new one. And we need more ominous goats in horror movies.
That was a scary goat, wasn't it?
It really, cause it pulled a Martin Riggs from Lethal Weapon and like walked right up to the gun barrel and like stuck its head on it and like looked him in the eye and was daring him to do it.
Yeah, the wife is like, hey, one of these goats is possessed, and you see this group of goats, and you're just like, which goat, you know? And I think he fires one in the air.
Yeah.
And all the goats scatter except for one who was just standing there looking at him. You know what I mean? And like, you're just like, oh God. And he has that gun, you know? And at this point, he knows the rules.
Yes.
He knows the rules, but he knows that there's no way out. You know, he has a pregnant wife over here. She's, you know, he's already took the rotten out of town. The goat's there. He knows it's over with. And he's just like, right? He's just sitting there with his gun. He's like, forget it. I'm just going to take this freaking thing out. And she's like, no, don't do it. No, don't do it. And then he shoots.
Yeah, she's begging.
Oh, and he shoots that goat. And as soon as he does, it just flips. And she's sitting there with an axe. Right? And she just hits, she hits him so quickly. And then she drops to her knees and just takes that axe and hits herself several times in between the eyes. Mm-hmm. And I don't think the camera breaks away one time.
No, they show every bit of it.
No.
I mean, it's just a...
No.
And you're just like, what? What am I watching? Why? You know, I think I paused it at that time. You clear your throat. You put some water. You put some water on your face, right? You go get yourself another bourbon, of course. And then, I mean, you have to come back for that one.
No joke. At the end of that scene, I had like pushed myself up into the chair farther. Like, it was so tense. I was just all tensed up in the chair by the time it was over. And I'm not a stranger to horror movies. Like, it's really that shocking. And surprising.
It really is. This is not for the faint of heart.
This is not a date night movie.
No, not at all. And we didn't mention this, but on Rotten Tomatoes, critics gave this a 97%. Audiences backed off of this one. They gave it an 81%. And I understand why.
Yeah.
Because this is not for everybody. Mm-mm. There's going to be people who are like...
It's not a date night movie unless you're me. I think we watched this after our anniversary dinner.
I love that.
I was like, honey, I got to work. I got to do this podcast.
I love that
thing.
Jessica watches these things with you. Like, Lauren, I can get Lauren to watch some PG-13. I have to watch it first, but she would never do that. I just think it's hilarious. I mean, like, Lauren would never watch this. I don't want her to watch it. She would have nightmares. This is awful. Chris, this is awful.
It was awful.
Yeah. So good. So the next morning, Jaime and Pedro, or Luigi and Jaime and Pedro, they agree to leave town. They're like, hey, we're going to leave town. We're going to take our family members. We're going to escape to safety. Jaime gets their mother while Pedro goes to the home of his ex-wife, Sabrina. This leads to an argument between himself, Sabrina, and her new husband, Leonardo, when Pedro tries to collect his two children. It leaves off this this teenage kid that visits them in the night too, Chris, right?
Yeah, it did, and it left off a creepy shadow because while Luigi's sitting there, and he looks up at like the goat antlers on the wall, like the shadows kind of crawl up the wall.
Oh, I forgot about that.
The younger kid, Uriel's son, I guess, it alludes to him being possessed already too.
I love the argument scene. It was just so wonderfully awkward to see him because he shows up, and I'm guessing it's her new husband is there who like opens the door and says, "I don't know if I can let you in." First of all, I hated him. He was the weakest part of the whole movie. He didn't do anything until his wife told him. It was just,
You're not supposed to be here.
"You're supposed to be here. Should I call the police? I don't know what to do."
Tell me what to do, wife.
But I love how this was filmed. It was a small room. They were in close quarters. They were yelling loudly in this small room. There's small kids in there. It's uncomfortable. And Pedro's trying so hard to get his point across. Like, we got to go. Don't make me explain it in front of the children. Just give me clothes. Let's go. And
Yeah.
she understands what he's trying to say, but we get back into this whole, that doesn't happen here. It's not a here problem. That happens over there. And he just can't get it across. And
Not only that, you kind of like you hear about like how Pedro's kind of a piece of shit.
you're starting to learn that at this point. Yeah.
Pedro
say that.
is a horrible dad. Let's go ahead and just get that out there. Pedro has not paid child support. He don't come see his kids. I think he did. He want to get rid of his oldest son.
They hint pretty hard at that. Yeah.
Yeah, towards the end they do.
Yeah. So he has two children. He has a little girl.
Is it the daughter? I thought the daughter was
Oh,
Leonardo's.
I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. The little daughter belongs to the stepdad.
Yes. Yeah.
I apologize. So he has a child who is special needs.
Yeah.
Okay, and then he has another child as well. So he comes to collect those children, and and the wife. You kind of see like first off, you find out that Pedro was not the best dad or the best human being ever, but you also find out like, man, I kind of understand why he divorced this woman.
She is so loud.
She is something else, and she is really good with those comments, right?
It hurt me.
Oh, man, it hurt my feelings. But anyway, the night before this happened, the brother of Uriel, visits this farm, and he goes ahead and tells him, he says, Ruiz is dead.
Yes.
His pregnant wife is dead. My mom is dead, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, can I stay here? I have nowhere to go. And Jimmy is like, you can stay in the barn, but he don't even want him to stay in the barn. But he goes and
No, I think Pedro doesn't want him to. Pedro wants him to stay in the barn, but Jimmy doesn't.
Jimmy doesn't want him to stay at all.
Yeah.
Yep.
But they're like, go stay in the barn. We're going to leave tomorrow anyway. Here's what we're going to do.
Yep.
We're going to leave town. We're going to go collect our families. Let's go get mom. Let's go get my children. And let's get out of Dodge because this is going to go sour pretty quick. Mm-hmm. While they are distracted by the argument, the family dog, who has previously licked Pedro's demon-mucked clothes, savagely attacks Leonardo and Sabrina's daughter and drags her outside. Leonardo and Pedro chase the dog, and the former shoots the dog. Pedro returns to Sabrina, but sees that her daughter is back, unharmed, and threatening Sabrina. So Pedro steals their car. As Pedro drives away with his sons, he witnesses that Leonardo crashed his car into Sabrina as their daughter dances. What?
Yeah, super duper creepy. And so we were watching it, right? And the dog was sitting beside the little girl.
You knew it was going to happen.
And I was thinking in my head, I know this is about to happen. And
it shouldn't happen.
Still shocked and scared the crap out of me.
Yeah. You knew it was going to happen, but it shocked the crap out of you. Like once that pregnant woman put that axe into her face,
Yeah.
you're like
Nothing's off limits.
nothing. They don't care, right, John?
No, they're out to hurt you at this point. They want to break you. So much happens in this. Like, this is not a long scene. It's 5-6 minutes.
Oh,
But first of all, the dog is Hooch from Turner and Hooch. Like, it's
Yes.
that big red bulldog looking thing.
yeah.
And first, like, the bite itself is very Jaws-esque.
Yeah.
Just sitting there calmly, and all of a sudden, just whoop,
Oh my gosh.
and no one notices except the little brother. And the brother has the reaction that the audience has. We're all just sitting there like,
It
What
was.
do you do?
Oh, it was so nuts. It was so freaking nuts. The dog. First off, you're sitting there like, as an audience member, you're like, Pedro, why are you returning? Why are you coming to this house with your nasty ass clothing?
Yeah.
You know, and I need new clothes. I need new clothes or whatever. And he takes his clothes off. He's making so many mistakes, and you're only like 30 minutes in. You know, I know you're coming to pick up your kids, but man, you're putting them at harm. That was the worst thing he could have done, right?
Yeah.
And so this family pet kind of comes and licks his clothing, which has Uriel's
Goo.
pus, goo,
His natural juices.
moisture on it. And
Surely he burned the clothes the night before.
no, I don't think so. Right?
Well,
I don't think so. He shed them pretty quick because that's the one naked scene we get
Yeah,
in the movie.
he's sitting there dancing around with his buttocks. You see his butt.
You see more
fun
than that.
fact, any 13.
Is there
movie
more?
for me
Oh, there's
is-
more. I don't know if I remember seeing that. What'd you say, Bob?
there was a dangle. Any movie for me that's going to get a 13 has to have nudity in it, and this is what put it over from 12 to 13.
This was a 12 until you saw Pedro's penis and buttocks, and then you're like
Met the
13, baby.
criteria for nudity.
13. Chris. Anyway.
Also very creepy when the little girl goes, Dad's going to come back and kill you.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
God.
Dad comes back and goes,
The dog
"Ooh," or something.
drags the little girl out the door, and the stepdad, who is like his wife has to tell him how to pee and stuff like that. He runs out. He's like, I gotta find my daughter, and Pedro knows that the daughter is gone. And Pedro's like, I'm just going to go get my son upstairs. The son, the special needs son, doesn't want to go with him. He's like, and he promises him apple ice cream, which is the ew.
Sounds so gross.
Who wants apple ice cream? Like if there's one thing to get my son out of bed or something, I can't imagine apple ice cream being one of them. I'd be like, do you want a Snicker bar? How about some apple ice cream? How about some Brussels sprouts? Freaking, I don't know.
Smoothie.
Anyway, so he promises him some apple ice cream, and he's like, he's not going to be happy. The whole movie, he's like, he's not going to be happy till he gets his freaking apple ice cream, which is, I guess, is the thing in Argentina. Girl's dragged off. And then Pedro, he's just like, I'm going to get some clothes. I'm going to get my 2 kids. I'm going to get out of here. And then the little girl comes back, like you just said. And she's like, I'm back. And the mom is like hugging her. And she's like, Daddy's going to come back and hit you with the car. Like, right?
Yeah. And the mom's like, welcome home, honey. She doesn't get it.
We love creepy children. This movie it has so many creepy children. And it's
It's
great.
ripe with them.
I love a good creepy.
Did anyone else catch? I just love this one part. As Pedro's driving away with the kids, you get this one moment with Sabrina where she looks at him and suddenly she realizes that he was right. She has this oh crap look on her face right before the truck hits her. And I love that for some reason.
I don't know if I remember that, but that's awesome.
It was 2 seconds, and it's almost like justification for him because he's like, okay.
Pedro picks up Jaime, and their mother. The assembled family leaves town and arrives at the house of Mirta. She's a former cleaner and a friend of Jaime, who invites them to stay overnight. Mirta warns Jaime about Pedro's autistic son. He's exhibiting signs of possession, which Jaime dismisses.
So the mother in the car ride pretty much like summons the demon to them. Right?
Yeah.
She's like, you're not supposed to say its name, and like Lucifer or Beelzebub.
If there's
or,
ever a character that you hate in this movie, it's the grandmother, right?
it is.
Like she's just so just out of it. She's like, so where's your wife at? You know what I mean? Like, so why do you have your children for the first time in your
gave you
lifetime?
both kids, yay!
Well, yeah. So what you don't want to do is say these names. Listen, and she said there's a song that goes along with it. Why do they have a song in this community that like demons are great and I love the demons bring the I don't even know, like, what was that? Is that a thing that they teach in child? We have Itsy Bitsy Spider. Why are they singing these songs? It makes no sense.
Argentinians.
This part There were a few parts of this I didn't love. First of all, the grandma, she has a payoff later that was worth it.
Yes.
But I don't love this whole, and I think it was Yimmy. He's like, I know someone who can help. And, you know, there's always someone who can help in these movies because they need to bring in more info. They need outside help. And that's where we get Mirta, which is fine.
Yeah.
But even the grandma, she pissed me off because even she's like, well, that doesn't happen here. When he finally starts telling her, it's like, we saw a rot. And everything's like, no, you didn't.
Yeah.
We know they're real, but surely you didn't see one.
Yeah.
I just wanted them to kick her out of the car.
Or just like scream at her, Mom!
It's like, listen to me for once in your life.
Yeah, like we just like hit pus coming. I'm like, it was
She made me mad. She really did.
There was a dude cut in half, which by the way, they didn't act too surprised about a dude cut in half in the
They really were chill about that.
They were like, this is the I can't do it.
It's a hard life down in
This is the 10th guy that we have found cut in half this year. It just seemed like a very commonplace thing to happen. Yimmy had a history with Mirta, right?
It's his cougar ex-girlfriend.
This is a cougar ex-girl. Yeah, like you just said. Like lay some pipe with Mirta.
They strongly insinuated.
So like you kind of find out like, oh, this is why Yimmy in the beginning was like, oh, I have seen these Marco Polo, Christopher Columbus tools before, and he like picks up these gold instruments with like compasses and numbers and stuff. Which, by the way, spoiler alert, never get to see work and and actually be in action out in the. I'm
going to bring that up later. I got some problems with that.
It's wrong.
I would love to see that actually.
You see him set it up.
Yeah,
I got real curious.
I want to see. I'm like, oh, where do you get this? Is this at Home Depot? Like, where do you get this machine? I mean, this is something. Anyway, the possessed corpse of Sabrina kidnaps her youngest son, and Mirta advises that Yimmy chase after her while she and Pedro search for Uriel to end the demonic plague. While seeking out Sabrina, Yimmy discovers that she has killed the child, and he runs her over in a fit of emotion. In doing this, he collides with a tree. Grandma stays at Mirta's house and waits with her oldest grandson, who returns to the house, but now he's speaking clearly and without impediment.
Yeah, she's walking down the road and like eating his brains out of his skull.
Like popcorn.
Delicious.
Yeah.
Pop. I mean, she's just really just getting into those brains.
Extra bloody.
Yeah. So what happens is Grandma takes some sleeping pills, right? And she's chilling at the house, and the Pedro's ex-wife shows up, and she's like, and Grandma's like, oh, so you're here to collect your kids? This is great. Go ahead and collect them. And then she does that
with your half face.
In the
half of
middle
her face
the
is
night.
gone.
This grandmother will piss you off, man. Like, they would have been better off not scooping her up, right?
She held them back.
Yeah,
she caused some problems.
Definitely. Who was sleeping in the car when Sabrina kind of just freaking?
What is the son's name? It's the autistic son, and is it? Oh, I really should have researched.
So it was the autistic
That's the
son.
He didn't want to get out of the car.
Oh, okay. So yeah, he had to be changed. So he used the restroom on his. He had a diaper still, so they had to change his diaper in the car. And so Sabrina kind of puts his bloody hand across the window in the car. God, it was a creepy moment. But anyway, so Sabrina shows up, but before this, she calls up Pedro.
Yeah,
on the cell phone, and she's just dog cussing the crap out of him and just being like, I know where you are. You're a horrible father. And you kind of get this exposition dump of just how bad he is, which is very typical of demon possession, right?
Yeah, they go after your emotions.
Yeah,
quick.
they really go after your emotions. You're just like, and Pedro can't handle it, and I don't blame him. But at the same time, Sabrina, she's good on her word, and she shows up. She knows where they're at. Grandmother pretty much hands over the youngest grandchild, and she jumps off this porch. And the cleaner, Mirta, is like, no, he's gone at this point. Get over yourself. But they're all like, Yemi at this point is like, I'll go find him. He gets in his truck, he's driving, and he sees Sabrina eating her own child's brains out. I mean, like,
she's getting it.
Oh,
she's into it.
Like it's like some delicious like salsa or cheese dip at the Mexican restaurant down the road. I mean, she's really getting into it. And Yemi, this is really pisses off Yemi, and he like backs up and just like runs her into a tree, which I get it.
Yeah. Well, for the second time, this woman got hit by a car in this movie.
I guess I'd never noticed that.
This
is the
Why would
second
you
time.
reference chips and salsa at a time like this?
I know. I'm sorry. I am
Is
so
it because
sorry.
it's Argentinian?
Was you?
Santino is the youngest kid. All right.
Yeah, that's
And Jair is the autistic kid.
Jair. Okay, that's it.
Okay. Anyway.
Yeah.
May I say something?
Yeah,
If you were eating anything during this film,
that's your mistake.
you have issues. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you don't care about life. I don't trust you. I feel like you have a rotten if you were able to eat during this film. Anyway.
I do have one thing I want to ask.
Yes.
If it was me or not, but Mirta is pretty much Dr. Loomis. She even wears the trench coat at one point when they get into the truck to go fight the evil. It's just I got Dr. Loomis vibes from her.
I felt like I felt safety around when Mirta was there.
She knows what she's doing.
I felt like she knew what she was doing. She knew. I felt like I was like, good. Mirta's gonna guide us through the rest of this film and take care of business.
Yeah.
I really felt like I felt like I had a coat on at that point. And I was like, good. I'm glad Mirta is there because we finally got us a cleaner. You know?
Yeah. And she is the one that I felt was pure stereotype, but also they needed her because they were just going off of nothing before. Walking into his ex-wife's house with the dirty clothes. I mean, look what this gets you. You do need help. And he keeps refusing. She's like, here's money. Stay the night. No, we got to go.
What's the what's the odds that just Yemi just had sex with a cleaner when he was a kid? You know, what's the odds? How many cleaners are out there, man?
I mean, they took religion out of this movie pretty early on, but that is some divine intervention.
Pedro and Mirta's search leads them to a schoolhouse filled with possessed children who boldly lie to the pair in order to exacerbate the demonic birth. The pair find Uriel under the stage in a small auditorium, and Pedro tries to properly unearth him as Mirta sets up this demon-killing equipment. Losing his patience and believing one of the children's lies about a fire axe nearby that might help, Pedro runs to the office while Mirta screams, "Don't leave me!" Chris.
Yeah. So it took three of you dudes to barely get him out of the house. How are you going to get him out of there by yourself?
This is an issue. This is an issue. Yeah.
And he's buried under other dead bodies.
Yeah.
They pull up to the schoolhouse. Because Mirta is like, hey, evil. Like, I bet the evil is here. Why? Because children
love evil.
They love evil. So there's like they're like if he's still alive, he's going to be in the schoolhouse because the children gravitate to evil. They're going to take care of it because they love evil. They're going to bring it in, whatever. So Mirta kind of said that. So they kind of go and they're peeking into these windows, and they peek into this window, and there's it's a class full of children staring at a blackboard or staring at absolutely nothing. I have no idea. They're just sitting there and just like, it's creepy. We love creepy children in the horror genre.
It's a sure winner.
Oh, it's sure winner. And Murta's like, he's probably here and he's alive. And Murta's like, don't listen to the children. They're going to lie to you. And a girl comes up. He's not here. He's at my grandfather's house or my dad. I don't even remember what she said. She's like lying to him. And like Mirta literally told Pedro, listen, they're going to lie to you. Like Mirta's all you got at this point. Come on, Pedro. That's my only that's my biggest like come on.
Yeah.
Mirta is our hero. I felt a coat of like warmth when she was there, and Pedro kind of like didn't listen to her like I wanted him to. you know? And so when she's setting up her equipment, she's a damn cleaner. She's the only one who can fix this for the whole community and save lives. Come on, Pedro, listen to Mirta. But anyway, he listens to these children, right?
Yeah.
Chris, he tries to get an axe. The axe is not there. There's an empty case.
The perfect outline of an axe.
It's there. The case is open. It's not there. And go ahead, Chris. Tell them about what the children are doing to Mirta at this point.
So yeah, while they're dragging him away, or dragging Mirta away, they're just kind of smacking her with like a hammer or something.
Wait,
like,
the camera pans away, right? So you don't have to see that, right? Like that.
I know it stays on her.
Oh, you see it. Yep.
It shows
It
her
bounces
dying.
off her forehead.
Yeah.
Wow. Why? This is the craziest thing. You want them to like kind of pan away, right?
A little praise for the
off-screen
sound guy
kills her,
too,
man.
because you hear it like it goes dum dum.
Getting blood on the boom mic while he was following it.
What the hell are we watching? Is what I was thinking. I was like, no, Mirta. Why did they murder Mirta? You know, I couldn't believe it. Why didn't Pedro listen? Pedro sucks. Pedro is like the worst hero ever, is what I was thinking. Please. And I'm the strongest advocate for a horror film not giving me any resolve.
Yeah,
But my goodness, I wanted Mirta to live a little bit longer than this. She actually knew what she was doing. She had an attachment to our heroes from the beginning.
yep.
And she was like, don't leave me. She actually said to him, don't leave me. And he did anyway. They open up this gym floor, like this floor there in the auditorium, and there's these adults who were like murdered, and there's like powder all over them. It's lime, and there's Uriel, and he's still alive. Doesn't he stick his head above the gym floor?
It's like a weird Jack in the Box moment. Yeah,
He just he kind of sticks his head up, you know, at some point. While he is away, the children trap Pedro. They kill Mirta. They dismantle the equipment. So we don't get to see what Marco Polo equipment, Christopher Columbus equipment was going to do. This compass, this gold instrument. Enraged, Pedro just beats Uriel to death with a piece of that broken equipment, but it's too late to intercept the birth. The demon inside Uriel is born soon after, shedding his corpse and presenting itself to a defeated Pedro. After taunting Pedro by sparing him, the newly born demon walks out into the morning sun, followed by the children.
He also marks his forehead.
Ooh,
Mark of the Beast. Yeah,
Oh, love that.
they did the Mark of the Beast thing. I really did love that.
Yeah, when you search this film, that's what you see a lot of times. It's just Pedro there with that bloody mark on his forehead.
I just wanted to see that equipment work. I mean, in most movies, to defeat a demon, it's prayer or a blessed blade, and in this one, it's a telescope and a stick, and you don't know how it works.
I spit my drink out.
We'll see it in the sequel, When Evil Lurked.
When evil,
Where Evil Lurks.
I've been calling it where. Is it where or is it when? I still don't even know. I don't care.
It's when
Where Evil Lurks, number 2. And it's like the equipment. Where Evil Lurks, the equipment.
It looked cool.
you get to see it this time.
You get to see it. Are you ready? Last time the equipment didn't work. This time it does.
But she had this thing, and then there's a stick or a pull cue or something. She's like, you have to stab him in the neck.
She had a pull cue.
She's like, you got to get him in the back of the neck or something like that.
Nuts.
I wanted to see it.
Oh, I want to see it so bad. But yeah, they screwed that up. The two brothers, they return to Mirta's separately. And after collecting the remaining son, they head back. First off, may I say something? Did we talk about how the special needs son back at grandmother's place?
He walked in. you said it, but we didn't discuss it. He just walks in and is talking and walking normally now. He's just totally fine.
Yeah. So the special needs son out of nowhere, the grandmother staying behind with him. He's special needs, and he's really nonverbal, other than like the ice cream and stuff like that. Yeah. He's very nonverbal. And all of a sudden, and Mirta's like he's possessed, which like when you hear it, you're just like, that's very outdated information.
Yeah.
You're like, he's a special needs. Like that's something that y'all did way back thousands of years ago. You know what I mean? Like that's very outdated. That's old school. And then she goes, you see his hands? See how his hands are? That's how I know he's possessed. The demon's in him, but since he is special needs, the demon doesn't know how to navigate.
Trying to work out his mind,
his body, and his mind. Yes. Yeah. And then all of a sudden there's a scene where he walks in. He's like, grandmother, make me a sandwich.
I'm hungry. Yeah. That actually messed me up more than I wanted to admit.
I was like, oh, what? He was like, he's like, I'm cold. Make me a damn sandwich. I was like, yes.
They do a good job of showing that nonverbal part because he's like moaning and making noises. And they do it a lot. And then to see him walk in and be like, I'm hungry, grandmother.
Yeah. Oh, God, so good. And because he's straight up just looking out the window one way. And I say that because at the end, he makes this look back, like where his eyes like kind of glance back. Mm-hmm. And it's like so freaking creepy, you know. But anyway, he's like looking out straight out the window. He won't even look at Pedro when he's talking to him. And then when he get like again, the grandmother, he's there with the grandmother, and the grandmother's like freaked out. But at the same time, he walks in and he's like speaking normally now. And yeah, it's nuts. The two brothers, they return with Mirta separately. After collecting the returning son, they head back to their own home. At the shed, Uriel's possessed brother tells him that he killed the original cleaner 4 days ago. Devouring him, he also reveals that he did the same thing to his mother the night before, and alludes that his and Pedro's mother has suffered the same fate. Pedro returns inside and feeds his son ice cream. But he begins choking. While Pedro helps him, he discovers that he is choking on his own mother, on his grandmother's, I guess, or his mother's hair, and that his son is possessed as well, having tricked him under the veil of his autism. Pedro runs outside, collapses in his grief, having lost everyone except Aloigi, or his own brother, right? So we're back at the beginning.
Man, that was hard to watch because he's like got his hands in his throat, like digging out this hair, and then he comes across a necklace. There's like blood drooling everywhere.
That necklace was like
put my hand in front of my face, so I was like kind of covering the TV. That was pretty hard to watch.
Disgusting.
But holy crap, what a movie!
What a movie!
I was distracted by everything that happened. That the reveal that Uriel's brother actually killed the cleaner actually did get me.
Yes.
I feel like I should have figured that out at some point, but it really did. And I was like, holy crap.
Yeah.
They brought it full circle. And also, I love this ending. I don't love happy endings in horror movies.
Yeah, me either.
And to go back on the acting, when Pedro like walks out and just drops to his knees and starts screaming into nothing, I was like, oh God, he really did lose everything. And I'm not entirely convinced that Yemi isn't possessed. He touched everything.
Yeah. We don't know. What a crazy movie, man! This movie is like it goes ahead. It's like it's a good possession movie. It makes you feel weird. It just all the emotions that you want to feel with a horror movie, you get it from it. It's nuts, Chris. I understand why you gave it a 13. It is. I mean, like again, it's well rounded. Gosh, it's good. It was really good.
I feel like I lowballed it. Like after thinking about it again. This is my first podcast. I got nervous. I tried to be critical. It's really good.
Yeah, I get it. It is really good.
I can only hope that like some directors and stuff, like because we just saw a crappy movie in Night Swim. I really hope that like directors can like see this movie, see how they did this movie, and maybe carry on that mantle, because it would be nice to see some movies that are, they don't all have to be possession movies, but give us some fun, brutal, relentless movie. Give us some great cinematography, great acting. I mean, that's, I hope that other directors can glean some of that from this movie.
And a original idea, right?
Yeah.
An original idea. That's huge.
On a low budget.
On a low budget. I mean, like, you don't have to spend a lot of money. I mean, I enjoyed Terrifier. I enjoyed this. You don't have to spend a lot of money to have an original idea. The same rehashed crap, Come on now.
Exorcist Believer.
Exorcist Believer. Man, when Evil Lurks, please go watch it if you haven't watched it yet. This thing is brutal. This is
No kids.
No kids.
Don't allow children in the house while you watch this movie.
I watched this in front of a beautiful fire at night with my headphones, and man, I couldn't sleep the rest. I usually can't when I watch a horror film. I'm like, man, I go to sleep fine, but man, I couldn't even sleep after this one. This is nuts. Go watch When Evil Lurks.